Hello and welcome to Impact the Borough, a podcast from the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce. I'm Brent Christensen, President and CEO of the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce. Each week, a Chamber staff member will sit down with a guest to discuss what we're doing to start and grow businesses, create quality jobs, develop our workforce, and tell the inspiring story of Greensboro to the world. This podcast is brought to you by Truliant Federal Credit Union, a modern, mission-driven financial institution focused on the needs of its members, the businesses it serves, and our community. With 5 locations in Guilford County, including a dedicated commercial lending office at Friendly Center and a highly rated mobile banking app, Truliant makes it their business to help you grow yours. Visit Truliant.org for more information.
Hi, everyone. We're super excited for episode 2, talking about Launch Greensboro. And just as a reminder, Launch Greensboro accelerates growth for entrepreneurs starting businesses in the Greensboro Triad area by providing education, mentoring, and access to capital. And I'm Kelli Frazier, and I am here today with...
I'm Clifford Thompson. And Kelli and I are both on the boards of Launch Greensboro. And I'm current chair of the board.
Yeah. And today we have some special guests. We are going to talk more specifically about the growth and mentorship programs that we talked briefly about last time. And so we've invited some of our super favorites to come talk about each section. And so with that, let's jump right into it. Matt, give us your scoop.
Hey, my name is Matthew Mullens. I am the founder of Impasta, which is a plant-based cheese-like sauce business here in Greensboro, where we use whole food ingredients to create a plant-based cheese-like sauce, like I just said. So I have a background in industrial engineering, my BS from North Carolina A&T, and during the day I do UX UI design for web app applications, and I have been participating with Launch Greensboro from as a student, from an entrepreneur, and just even as a kind of community member. So I have great experience with Launch Greensboro, and I really appreciate the impact that they've been able to have on me and my business as I've grown in my entrepreneurship.
Will you tell us a little bit about how you first found out about Launch Greensboro and what your first interaction was?
Yeah, so I first found out about Launch Greensboro, I want to say it was like my junior year of undergrad, and like I said, I have an engineering background, but I knew I wanted to start a business, and I didn't know where to start. And if I recall correctly, it's kind of funny thinking about it now, but I remember I was like, okay, well, how do I start a business? And I just Googled it, and, you know, it's totally different depending on what state you're in, et cetera, what industry. So I narrowed it down to how do I start a business in Greensboro, and Googled that, and Launch Greensboro popped up. I was really interested. I went, had a conversation, kind of pitched to them my idea, very crudely pitched, by the way. And from a couple conversations, it led to I participated in a community event they have called now it's called TBD, which is like to be determined, but basically it's where anyone can pitch a business idea to the community, get feedback. And I started there, and that led to an internship while I was in school over the summertime, and went from intern to then having my own business and participating in their growth cohort. And then the rest has just been just a perfect match after that. So the rest has been going.
And tell us a little bit about your experience specifically in the growth program and how that trajectory helped you develop the business and what all you learned.
Right. So the growth program was invaluable. Oh, man, like where to start, right? So what it is, it's a several-week program, and you're there with a cohort of other entrepreneurs, typically, you know, kind of having the same feelings around their business that you may have. You know, they're trying to figure out how to grow it, any different verticals that they're missing, how do they market themselves.
How to build a business in Greensboro. They Googled that to you, I bet.
Exactly. And so they offer expert education sections where people will come in that, you know, professionals will come in and talk about marketing and, you know, anything from just the finance of your business, how do you communicate it, you name it, they probably have someone in there talking about it. You also get access to interns that, where I started at, but the program actually will pay the interns, so you don't have to feel like you're, using anyone. And but the interns are there for the business to utilize to do kind of one-off projects that may be helpful. So I know a lot of businesses, you can get your website developed, you can get like your marketing plan built out. Again, customer discovery, market research, a plethora of things have been used for interns. Another towards the latter middle part of the experience, you get paired up with a mentor that is kind of familiar with your industry, and that helps you get the idea rolling, helps build your network. They typically provide their network to you. So you really can't beat it because it's at the cost of nothing other than your participation. And you just have to, if you're starting a business, you probably already have that drive. And I saw them as accountability partners too. And that's one thing that doesn't necessarily get like included in their services, but because you're in this cohort, you have motivation to keep going because you have to kind of report out every week of, okay, so what's new? What did you do?
Yeah, sure.
And so even from there, at the very end, you get access to expert services, which is really the super duper invaluable part outside of everything else. But I know from participating, I was able to get my trademark paid for. I was able to get some marketing services through LMS, which is in the local marketing business here in Greensboro. And
heard of them. I've heard of them. I think they do some stuff around town.
They're around, they've worked with some people here and there, but so you really just can't beat the overall experience. And there's something there that any entrepreneur can utilize at some point in their journey.
That's really impressive, man. And congratulations. Honestly, like having that drive, such a young age, that's I don't think you see that a lot. What would you say to other, another, person who's in college right now and wants to start a business? Like from what you did, and starting a business is super hard. So what would you say to yourself or someone else like you, mid-college career about starting a business?
Go for it. I mean, what do you have to lose, right? You're in college, you assumingly, or probably don't have, the full family and mortgage and all these other things that come into life, and as you get older. What do you have to lose? Now, I will say, don't think that the barrier of capital is a thing. It is a thing that you have to worry about. And that's something that, I had to kind of battle as I was coming up because I didn't have really steady stream of income, et cetera. But if you really go for it, there's resources out there and there's ways that you could kind of, make do and put pieces together and bootstrap. And that's where programs like Launch Greensboro really come in handy because they provide those services. They provide mentors that you may not typically get a chance to interact with or talk to. And you're able to kind of build something out of nothing if you really want it.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about where your business is now, what's going on with Impasta and what's next for you?
Yeah. So I saw a lot of cool growth towards, we talk about pre-COVID, post-COVID worlds, right? So pre-COVID, I was seeing really good traction across like different bars and, retail spaces like grocery stores or convenience stores. Nowadays, I've had to make that pivot to more online sales and kind of turn into an e-commerce business. So that's been an adjustment, but now I'm at the point after some months of kind of figuring it out that I have it figured out. So I'm definitely grateful and thankful for that. But that's part of business, right? You got to be able to pivot when things change, and that's just part of the territory of being an entrepreneur. So nowadays, I'm still in a few grocery stores locally between here and Winston-Salem. Now I'm working on actually preparing to scale. So talking with co-packers to make sure I can understand what it takes to really mass produce the sauce. But at the moment, I am doing online shipping and, retail stores.
Amazing. That's super exciting. And I'm glad that you have it figured out, because we definitely all are still trying to figure out this whole pre and post COVID scenario. So commend you for it, for sure. And it's really exciting to hear everything that you have going on. How has Launch stayed a part of your story after you graduated from the programs? How are you interacting with Launch Greensboro now and ongoing?
Yeah, so Launch Greensboro has not services per se, but basically they keep you in the loop, and they're really good at that. They offer lunch and learns, and you're on their email distribution of different opportunities that may come up. They're very personable, so it's very easy to just connect with anyone that works there, Jen or Luann, and they're responsive. You reach out, they'll at least point you in the right direction or let you know, hey, here's this resource to check out if they can't help you directly, but if they can, they probably will. So just with that, I definitely stay in contact for any connections they may need. I keep an eye out for emails about different events that are coming up that are always good. And I love Demo Day, which we'll mention later in this podcast, but keeps you connected with other entrepreneurs in the ecosystem. And that's how business works sometimes,
Very true. It's very true. Well, Matt, awesome. Thank you. We're going to talk to you a little more later. But one of the things we wanted to expand on a little bit is what you talked about is the mentor program. And we have invited Shawn and Larry to talk with us today, and they are mentor mentees, and really interested to hear from both of your perspectives how the program impacted you, how you were connected, and give us a little background for each one of you, please.
Okay, I'll start. So I am Shawn Straub, and I own Alt HR Partners. We are a specialty HR consulting company in Greensboro. We've been around for about 2.5 years now. I worked for about 20 years in corporate human resources as the head of HR for large multinational companies. And then I decided that I would rather own my own business. So I went through the Launch Greensboro program, and kind of like Matt, I started at the beginning with what is now TBD by talking to community members about my idea, and then sort of begging Jen until I got into the growth program. And I went through that program and got matched up with Larry. Oh, I'm pointing, he's right there. I got matched up with Larry, who was my mentor during the program.
How did they match the two of you? Did you it's based on, what your focus is and what you're trying to build?
So I'm glad you asked that question, because it brings up one of my favorite parts about Launch Greensboro, and that is Jen, who I'm pretty sure is psychic. So she just knows what you need, even if you have no idea what it is that you need. And I promise I really had no idea what I needed, for the first 8 months of owning my own business. And Jen was really there as the guide. I said that I needed someone to help me sell, and Jen said, that is not at all what you need. You need somebody who's done this before and can really help you understand how to anchor your brand in Greensboro. And that's what Larry did for me. And to be just transparent. So when I first started my business, I had a business partner. So Larry was actually our mentor, mine and my business partner. And he helped both of us really figure out what our brand was and what it is that we were really trying to do, and helped us from the beginning just establish what that was and how we were going to present ourselves and where we wanted to start. I think we had really, really big dreams and ideas of sort of this grandiose vision. And he was the one who really controlled it for us and brought it so that way it became something that was actually manageable and something that we could start with so that way we could grow. And one of the reasons why I was so thankful for Larry, and I'm still so thankful for Larry, and I want to, it's been over a year since I've been in the program, and I literally talked to Larry last week because I was flipping out about something and I needed him just to ground me again. is that Larry, so the ecosystem for entrepreneurs in Greensboro is huge. And I'm so thankful that I'm part of it and was connected through it. But a lot of the companies in Greensboro are technology-based or not service-based industry. And so a lot of the advice that I had gotten at the beginning was really not based on a service model as much as it was based on how do you build for a product or how do you build technology out? And Larry had started his own company that was a service-based model. And so being connected with him, someone else who had grown a service-based business, was beyond invaluable, and is still beyond invaluable to me, that I still have him as a resource. So as my company grows, he's still there for me to help me sort of navigate that road. So Jen could see into the future is the best answer that I have.
Love it. I love that. And then Larry, tell us a little bit about you and your experience.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Kelli. Well, following up with Shawn, she was one of my favorite mentees because she had so much energy and so much enthusiasm. It was a lot of fun working with Shawn, and it's been great to see her success over the past year. But my career really spans, I've got multiple things that I've done in my career. I started out 13 years in the corporate world with Dun & Bradstreet, and I got some great training, some great professional training, and really learned the ins and outs of being in business, even though I was working for a large corporation. Then I just got to the point in my life where I wanted to be in my own business. Just like Matt said earlier, just like Shawn said earlier, after a corporate career, I said, I think I want to do something on my own. So in 1989, I started a telecommunications business by the name of VoiceTel, and it really caught on. It was a great business. I had that business for 8 years, and then I sold it. I sold it to a company down in Atlanta. They hired me as VP of sales. I ran their sales organization for a couple of years. And then I said, there's a reason why I left the corporate world years ago. I want to be an entrepreneur again. So in the year 2000, I bought an employment agency here in Greensboro by the name of Express Employment Professionals. And I ran that business for 17 years. I sold that 4 years ago, and since then I've been doing mentoring and coaching and volunteering my time with the Chamber and other organizations, and I'm having a ball doing that. It's so much fun working with these exciting entrepreneurs now, and I've been doing that for the last 4 years for the Chamber through LaunchLab. So I've had the unique opportunity to have corporate experience, to start a business, to sell a business, purchase a business. And I thought that having all that experience would be good for me to share with entrepreneurs that are now getting started, like Shawn and many of the others that I've worked with. And that has been a real blessing for me. I've really enjoyed it, and it's my career right now. That's what I do.
So Larry, I know a few of the different companies that you've mentored, and it's really awesome what you do. I think it's so important for people with your experience to give back in that way. Because my company, Thompson Traders, we had a fantastic mentor, and I guarantee you that we would not be where we are today without that. And looking at it from your point of view, what do you think? What surprised you the most? When you're working with these companies, what surprised you the most from what you've learned and what you've seen working with startups and new young companies?
Well, on the energy level and the just the work ethic of the entrepreneurs has been very impressive. I've really been impressed with their commitment to the business. It's also an awakening for the entrepreneurs. It's really, really hard work to launch a business successfully. And you can talk about it while you're planning and while you're working for a corporation. Maybe you're planning to start your business. You can talk about it with people, but you really don't know what it's all about until you get started. And I think that's one of the benefits of having a mentor, is that they can share that reality, the ups and downs that you face. Just when you think things are going well, all of a sudden, here's a challenge or an obstacle that comes your way, and you overcome it, and then there's something else that comes your way. It takes a lot of what I call stick-to-itiveness to really to stay with it and overcome the challenges. Shawn's call to me last week was a great call. Larry, I have so many clients. I'm trying to figure out how to manage my time and keep all the balls in the air. And I said, Shawn, what a wonderful problem to have. Let's talk about it. And we had a great conversation. And in fact, she's already implemented some things that we talked about last week. So it's invigorating to work with people with the vision and the dream and the energy level that these entrepreneurs have.
That's great.
Absolutely. Shawn, will you tell us a little bit about how things are going at Alt HR and what next steps are for you?
Sure. Yeah, things are going really well at Alt HR. I'm really thankful for what we have. Some of the things, and I credit all of this back to Launch because the way that my business has grown is through networking and through referrals, and all of those original networking connections I made through Launch, and I made through the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Greensboro. And so being able to have those connections and then just grow from there like a spider web almost. And so we've found a few niches in North Carolina that we've been connected with, which was my call to Larry. One of the things that we've recently really expanded into is a charter school system in North Carolina. And we've become the HR provider for several charter school systems in North Carolina. And when I called Larry last week, it was, so I will just go back for 1 second. When we first met with Larry, and I 1000% remember this, we talked about like, how many clients do we need in order to like have a sustainable business, and how many people do I need to get in front of, what's the percentage of return on proposal to someone actually like signing. And we had these numbers, and it was, if we could sign like one client every other month, like things would be awesome. And at this point, we're almost signing a client a week, which is my call to Larry, because I was just like, so I've been employing like, piecemeal through my network of people to be able to like service our new clients. And it's that like, and I will quote Sam Funches here from the Nussbaum Center. Like when I first started, we had a conversation. He's like, being an entrepreneur is like jumping off of a cliff and putting the plane together on the way down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I honestly had never felt that way before until 2 weeks ago, when I was like, I feel like I have jumped off this cliff and I'm not sure I know how to put the plane together at this point. And Larry, like, that was my call to Larry. And, we really like thought about it, and how can I hire more people, and how can I really how can I not say no to these new clients and these new opportunities that I'm having, but not limit the way that I interact with my current clients. Because one of the things that I think makes Alt HR special, and one of the reasons why I think people stay with us and utilize us, is because we have that very personal experience with companies. Whether we're working just with their managers or whether we're working with all of their employees, we try really hard to integrate ourselves into the company and really care about the company's culture when we're giving HR advice. Anyone can, going back to Matt and Google, like you can Google like how to be a company in HR, or like what laws should I be following, but it's really different when you're working with someone who can give you that personalized advice based on your company's feel and culture. And I don't want to lose that, like, as we get more clients. And I don't want to say no either, because I want to grow and I want to be bigger. And so Larry helped me like kind of take a deep breath, and we just hired someone this week. And, so we have a brand new employee that just started this week. And when we're talking about like, okay, well, how many more clients do we need until we hire the next person? And so we put together sort of a different plan of how we're going to grow, and how it doesn't have to be so scary like that it was at the beginning.
I would say that at least once a week at LMS, my partners and I, or my team and I, say, because we're fully flying the plane, building the plane as we fly it, then this is what we're going to do today. And I think that's absolutely the experience of the entrepreneur. And as you grow, I think that just continues to sort of it's not like you take one jump off a cliff. It's like a continual jump off a cliff.
Every day.
Challenge. Yeah.
Every day is a new jump.
Totally. Totally. I love it. And so Larry and Shawn now both serve as experts in the growth sessions, right? Which is awesome. And that's the program that both Shawn and Matt have talked a little bit about. And I think that's one of the great things about Launch is that really, Shawn, you keep talking about it, but it is its own ecosystem, and it really people that benefit so much from it that I think they stay a part of it because they see how much they have been able to grow and they want to give that back to others. So I think that's a really awesome part of Launch in general. And I do think that Jen is psychic, that I also very much agree with that.
Can I say one other thing about why Launch I think is so special and why I think people should just go for it? And I've said this before. So being an entrepreneur can be really, really lonely. And especially if you started out in the corporate world and you were used to getting praises and promotions and bonuses and people telling you you've done a great job. Being an entrepreneur, nobody tells you that as a general rule. Like, people do not tell you you're doing a great job. Launch is the person who does that. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I signed my first client, I brought cake in, and they were the people who celebrated with me. And they're the ones who check in on me, and they're the ones who are the first to congratulate me, if something happened. Like when we hired somebody, we sent out like our little welcome our new employee. Luann was like the first person who emailed me to congratulate me. And they're your cheerleaders and your cheering squad. And yes, everything else is amazing and invaluable, but to me, that part is key for me and really invaluable to the experience that I've had with them.
Yeah, and that really echoes, I think, what Matt said about, having an accountability partner and having people that really hold you accountable, but in a way that is also very supportive. Because I completely agree that as an entrepreneur, you don't get those pats on the back and we're proud of you or great job. And so it's really great to have that feedback and to have that community for sure as you grow. So I think that's a great point. Well, guys, so we're going to wrap it up. Matt, we just want to hear from you one more time. And then we're going to just do a little roundup and then tell you where to find us.
Yeah. So again, as you guys can all see, Launch Greensboro is the place to be if you are an aspiring / new entrepreneur, from the cohort, from the member services, from the expert mentor connections, from education, interns, everything that you could want / need as a aspiring / new entrepreneur. Even if you're a little seasoned, sometimes, again, you might be a solo entrepreneur and just need that accountability there. I would recommend it to anyone as a first place to stop by.
I love it. Larry?
Well, I only wish that LaunchLab existed in 1989 when I started my first business, because the learning that you get through this program is priceless. It's absolutely priceless. I think as an entrepreneur, there's 3 different levels that you experience when you're starting a business. There are things that maybe product knowledge that you're bringing to your new business. And then there are things that you don't know. There are things like maybe finance and cash flow projections and so forth. Maybe you don't know that much about that and you're aware of that. Here's where the mentor really helps. It's category number 3. It's the things that you don't know that you don't know.
Yes, totally.
And that's what a mentor does. Is he listens or she listens to the planning process and what are the action items that you're putting in place. And then they say, well, have you considered this? Have you thought about this? It's the things that you don't even know that you don't know where the mentor can be of great value to you. So I've been very, very blessed in my lifetime to have a few very good mentors, not through a program like this, but through just corporate relations that I've developed over the years. And I think back all the time about things that I learned from people that took a personal and professional interest in me. And that's one of the reasons why I want to do this at this stage of my career. I want to do the same thing for people like Shawn and for Matt that others were willing to do for me. It's a very valuable program. I really encourage it very highly.
Amazing. And if any of our listeners are interested in becoming a mentor, then you can reach out to Jen, the psychic that we keep referring to, and you can reach her at jhensel@greensboro.org. And that's going to bring us to a close today. We are really excited to have shared all of our guest stories and energy with you. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We have a growth program ongoing right now, but you can get in on the next one, which starts in February. Applications are, you can apply online on our website. And then also, Cliff, we have demo day.
We have our demo day, which is scheduled for December 14th. You can also get more information on that on our website. It's greensboro.org/launch. So go check it out. Really, really interesting stuff there.
Yep. And then don't forget to follow us on social, Instagram @Launch Greensboro, Facebook @Greensboro Entrepreneur, Twitter @Launch Greensboro, and we're also on LinkedIn, so you can find us everywhere. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time.
This podcast is brought to you by Truliant Federal Credit Union, a modern, mission-driven financial institution focused on the needs of its members, the businesses it serves, and our community. With 5 locations in Guilford County, including a dedicated commercial lending office at Friendly Center and a highly rated mobile banking app, Truliant makes it their business to help you grow yours. Visit truliant.org for more information. You can find all of our episodes on YouTube thanks to our video sponsor, North State. Impact the Borough is recorded at Press Play Studios. Producers are Brody Cohen-Glaze and Holly West. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook @GSO Chamber. See you next time.